Hey, Shalom. First and foremost, I want to say, call Allah Yahweh Bashim Shai. Double honors to the apostles and elders at Great Millstone and Sunaya Allah with the beloved truth. Um, I just ran into this. I was listening to a guy, and he's talking about an executive order uh, that Obama signed this year. As you can see on the screen, it says United States policy on pre and post strike measures to address civilian casualties in U.S. operations involving the use of force. Now, when you read these, you gotta basically read through the lines because a lot of the things they say is ambiguous. Okay, meaning it means more than what it's just saying or what you see. So I'll read it a little bit. You brothers can look it up on your own. Um, it's important because, I made a lesson earlier today. Um, because we're in that time where things are gonna just start happening as far as dealing with the civilians, dealing with the ethnic tension, the race riots that's going to take place. This right here is leading into martial law, right? This gives them the authority to deal, forcibly in the streets. All right, so pre-conflict and after conflict. So, all right, so it says purpose of United States policy on civilian casualties resulting from U.S. operations involving the use of force in armed conflict or in the exercise of the nation's inherent right of self-defense is based on our national interests, our values, and our legal obligations as a nation. We are steadfastly committed to complying with our obligations under the law of armed conflict, including those that address the protection of civilians. All right, which you might as well say apprehension of civilians, basically rounding them up, because that's the only way you're going to protect them according to the government, such as the fundamental principles of necessity, humanity, distinction, and proportionality. Um, the protection of the civilians is fundamentally consists with the effective, efficient, and decisive use of force in pursuit of U.S. national interest. Right, so it's the use of force. All right, minimizing civilian casualties can further mission objectives, help maintain the support of partner governments and vulnerable populations. All right, it says it's like um, it says, especially in the conduct and counterterrorism and counterinsurgency operations, and enhance the legitimacy and sustainability of United States operations critical to our nation's security as a matter of policy. United States therefore routinely imposes certain heightened, it's like heightened policy standards that are more protective than the requirements of the law of armed conflict that relate to the protection of civilians. All right, civilian casualties are a tragic and at times uh, unavoidable consequences of the use of force in situations of armed conflict or in the exercise of a state's inherent right of self-defense. The United States government shall maintain and promote best practices that reduce the likelihood of civilian casualties. All right, which is basically the opposite. Okay, really, you really gonna have martial law in the streets, and what proves it, you got these groups, Black Lives Matter, and other groups out there, the Tea Partiers, you know, and militia groups that we haven't heard of. You know, basically they're gonna counter them. Okay, all right, and they're gonna apprehend civilians and put them in or detain them for that matter. All right, so it's a the U.S. government shall maintain and promote best practices that reduce the likelihood of civilian casualties, take appropriate steps when such casualties occur, and draw lessons from our operations to further enhance protection of civilians. All right. In the furtherance of government efforts to protect civilian operation involving the use of force in armed conflict. All right. So it says government efforts to protect. This is section two. Civilians um, in U.S. operations involving the use of force in armed conflict or in the exercise of the nation's inherent right of self-defense, national inherent right of self-defense, and with a view toward enhancing such efforts, relevant de- departments and agencies shall continue to take certain measures in present and future operations. In particular, relevant agencies shall consist with mission objectives and applicable ac- applicable law, including the law of armed conflict. All right. So it says trained personnel commensurate with their responsibilities on compliance with legal obligations and policy guidance that address the protection of civilians and on implementation of best practices that reduce the likelihood of civilian casualties, detaining, basically detaining citizens, uh, citywide or statewide curfew implementation. It says including through exercises, pre-deployment training, and simulations of complex operational environments that include civilians. Develop, acquire, and field intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance systems that, by enabling more accurate battle space awareness, contribute to the protection of civilians. So uh, it's going to be like an occupation. All right. So, and that's why they militarizing police and things of that sort, so they can come in and basically uh, run everything. Right. Because we're living in an age where it's like a terrorist age. Like a dire need for um, a militarization, all right, occupation throughout America, all right. And what proves that earlier went over a lesson, all right. This is lucky. I'm gonna grab it real quick. This this day of rage, and they're supposed to be protesting over 37 cities. You know, um, to basically take over the cities. And why is it so widespread? All right, so the UN or any you know any entity can come in and basically um, set in martial law because of the pre it's like the pre and post strike measures to address civilian casualties in U.S. operations involving the use of force. So basically, in other words, what it's saying is it's going to be a lot of people that's going to die out here. All right, and they got to have pre and post strike measures. All right, to address civilian casualties. All right, so it's a whole lot of stuff that's going to be going on, and you know, and to edify you, brothers, here you go. All right, and you can read more of the article because like I said, you can read as much as you can, and read through the lines. I just read a little bit, you know, just detailing what what Esau, what he's going to set up. He's going to set up his surveillance, and, intel, and things like that, so he can have one up and basically uh, occupy civilians. All right, now just go to it again. This is section two, to a two, and it says acquire, and field intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance systems that, by enabling more accurate battle space awareness, contribute to the protection of civilians. Develop, acquire a field weapon systems and other technological capabilities that further enable the discriminate use of force in operational contexts. Take feasible precautions in conducting attacks to reduce the likelihood of civilian casualties. So that means they're gonna be basically killing people to under the guise of protecting civilians. All right, such as providing warnings to the civilian population unless the circumstances do not permit, adjusting the timing of attacks, taking steps to ensure military objectives and civilians are clearly distinguished, and taking other measures appropriate to the circumstances, and conduct assessments that assist in the reduction of civilian casualties by identifying risks to civilians and evaluating efforts to reduce risks to civilians. So basically, what they're saying is, and it's a lot more in this article, or will it this executive order, um, that give you a sign that uh, things are going to get really rough out here. All right. So I got a few scriptures. Revelations 12 and 12, and you brothers know these. Therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil, which is Esau, is come down unto you, having great wrath, because he knoweth that he hath but a short time. Okay, so these predominantly the elites, the ones that run the society, the ones that set the social sets for each part of society, whether it be the lower class, lower class, middle class, middle upper class, or the upper middle, however you want to say it, and the rich. They don't want to set the ideals and philosophy and so on and so forth. All right, with their influence, okay, with their money, right. So they're the ones that's going to start, you know, letting the floodgates basically go. You know, when it comes to this destruction, because they're telling you that they're preparing for you know civilian casualties. All right, you know, you can put two and two together. All right, this is Jeremiah 30 and 7. It says, "Alas, for that day is great, so that none is like it. It is even the time of Jacob's trouble, but he shall be saved out of it. For it shall come to pass in that day, said the Lord of hosts." Well, yeah, that's basically it. All right, the time of Jacob's trouble. All right, um, it's gonna be a time where things are going. You're gonna start seeing people getting put to death, man. All right, you're gonna be seeing people getting put to death, man. All right. So this is let's see. This is Matthew chapter 24 and 21. It says, "For then shall be." You know what? Start at 18, because this is basically like 78 AD all over again. All right. So this is Matthew 24:18. It says, "Neither let him which is in the field return back to take his clothes, and woe unto them that are with child, and to them that give suck in those days." Right? Because it ain't gonna be a good thing having kids. All right, because they're gonna be putting them to death. All right, "But pray ye that your flight be not in the winter, neither on the Sabbath day, for then shall be great tribulation, such as was not since the beginning of the world to this time, no, nor ever shall be." All right, so there you go. All right, this time of tribulation is at hand. We're gonna see a lot of people getting put to death. And Lord willing, you know, like the scriptures say, man, He's gonna keep us, you know, from the time of trouble. I believe it says in Job in the sixth trump. Forget it. Is it Job 5? I believe. I'm not sure. Let me see. Scripture saying He will save us in the seventh trump, something to that extent. But I can't remember it offhand right now. Oh, here we go. This was 5 and 12. Um, yeah, this is a good one. Job 5 and 12. He disappointed the devices of the crafty, so that their hands cannot perform their enterprise. Right. The devices of the crafty are the elite banking families. Like I said earlier, the ones that set how the culture is made, how things are going to play out. Um, they are the crafty because they use the system to trap people and to forward their agenda. And their enterprise is a new world order, right? It says he taketh the wise in their own craftiness, and the counsel of the forward is carried headlong. They meet with darkness in the daytime and grope in the noonday as in the night. But he saveth the poor from the sword, from their mouth, and from the hand of the Almighty. So the poor hath hope, and iniquity stoppeth her mouth. So basically, the poor is, the poor in spirit, the elect, right? Okay. So with that, I'll close out. I try to make it quick, because I just ran into it. So with that, I'll just say, call law Yahweh Shimon Shai, double honors to the apostles and elders at Grace Millstone, and Zanaya Alos, signing off. Shalom.